Hey everybody, welcome back. In our last video, we learned how to tune our instruments. That's an important first step because if your ukulele strings don't play the right notes to begin with, it's not going to sound very good when you try to play a song. So if you haven't done that yet, go check that video out and then come back. I'll put a link in the description below. Okay, now that your ukulele is in tune, we can learn to play a chord. Some of you already know this one from music class. If that's you, congratulations, you're ahead of the game. For those of you who didn't get to learn this in music class, don't worry, we're going to start with an easy one. But first, let's review some important information. When you hold your ukulele, you always want it to be pointing to the left. Remember, my left is this way, but your left is going to be that way. Hold it at an angle so it points up kind of toward your shoulder. If you want to prop it on your leg, you can, but just make sure it's at an angle up like this, not held down like a guitar. For your left hand, make a C with your hand. Turn it over so your fingers point up. Put it around the neck. Now your thumb is on the back of the ukulele. Don't curl it over the top. It's okay if it's kind of near the top though. Hold your hand at a little bit of an angle, not straight up and down, so that your fingers are kind of pointing toward the body of the instrument. Keep your elbow relaxed. You don't want it pointing out because this is supposed to be comfortable. And if you notice that my wrist is straight, I'm not bending it this way or this way. It's nice and relaxed, just like that. For your right hand, if you're still getting used to holding your ukulele, it's okay to put your fingers underneath and strum with your thumb for now, but eventually we want to get to the point where we are strumming with our pointer finger or with a pick. Now, do you remember vibrations? Depending on the grade you're in, you may have learned that sound comes from vibrations. Now, vibrations are just small back and forth movements. Think about when your phone vibrates or your parents' phone vibrates. You can actually feel that movement, and if you set it on the table, the vibration makes a sound. String instruments work the same way. If the strings can't vibrate, they won't make a sound. Check it out. I'm going to touch the strings with my left hand and try to strum over here with my right hand. That does not sound very good. However, if I let go, so that I'm still holding the neck of my ukulele, but I'm not touching any of the strings, and I strum, it sounds a lot better. That's what we're going for. So for now, hold your left fingers away from the strings so that they can ring out when we practice strumming. Strumming is when you play all four strings at the same time. You can strum in downstrokes or in upstrokes. For now, we're going to stick to downstrokes. If you're using your thumb, you want to use the tip to brush down all four strings. Strum right in between the edge of the sound hole and where the neck meets the body. So right around this area, like this. You want to use medium pressure. Too soft is hard to hear, and too hard sounds really harsh. We don't want either of those sounds. We want it to be like Goldilocks. Somewhere in the middle is just right. Now the right speed is important too. If you strum down too slowly, you'll hear each string at a different time. You want your strum to be quick enough that it makes one sound, like this. If you're using a pick, you hold on to the wide part and use the pointy part to strum your ukulele. Now your pick should be a felt pick that's a little bit soft, not a plastic pick. Those are used for guitars. No matter what you're using to strum, you want that motion to come from your wrist, not from your whole arm. Let's do a little practice together. Make sure your left fingers aren't touching the strings and strum a steady beat with me. We'll start slow. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, good job. Now, if you need a little bit more practice, feel free to pause the video and take a few more minutes. Now is the perfect time to try it. Let's get some vocabulary out of the way. When we learn how to play chords, I'm going to talk about your fingers with numbers. On your left hand, your pointer finger is number 1, your middle finger is number 2, your ring finger is number 3, and your pinky is number 4. So if I say finger 1, I'm talking about this one. Finger 2 is this one, finger 3 is this one, and finger 4 is this one. Now, frets are these spaces where you're going to put your fingers when you learn how to play. No matter what fret you're using, you want to make sure that you put your finger in the very middle, not on the line. Your finger goes in between the lines. String numbers. When you're holding your ukulele, the bottom string is number 1, then number 2, then number 3, and the top one is number 4. So they go from the bottom to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And finally, a chord chart. A chord chart is basically a picture of the chord that shows you where to put your fingers in order to play whatever chord you need. The best way I can explain a chord chart is to think about it like a picture of your ukulele. There's a line at the top that represents the nut. That's this piece that the strings bend over on their way to the tuning pegs. There are 4 lines that go straight down, 1 for each string. Now, the one all the way over on your right is the bottom string. When you hold your ukulele, that one's on the bottom. The one all the way over on the left is your top string, because when you hold your ukulele, that's the one on the top. There are 4 lines going across the strings, and that shows you where your frets are. And now, if I take the picture of the ukulele away, it still kind of looks like your instrument, if you know what you're looking at. Chord charts will have a dot on the strings and in the frets where you need to put your fingers. Remember that your finger numbers are 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in this picture, it's telling you to put your first finger on the bottom string in the first fret, like this. For another example, here you would put your third finger on the bottom string in the 3rd fret, like this. Bottom string, 1, 2, 3, 3rd fret. For one more example, here you would use 2 fingers. Finger 1 on the 2nd string in the 1st fret, and finger 2 on the top string in the 2nd fret. So it would end up looking like this. But let's go back to the first chart I showed you, because that's the first chord we're going to learn. It's called C7. As you can see in the chord chart, you'll put your first finger on the bottom string in the 1st fret. You want to make sure to use your fingertip, not the soft part on the bottom. You might need to trim your nails to be able to do it. So curve your finger around just like that. Make sure that it's in the very middle of the fret, not on the line, in the very middle, and push down pretty firmly. If that string sounds like this, just playing the bottom one, you're just not pressing hard enough. So push down a little bit more with your fingertip all the way down and try again. Here's what you're listening for. When you've got that string ringing out nice and clear, you can try strumming. Your chord should sound like this. There's your C7. When you've got that C7 sounding really nice, try strumming a steady beat with me. Make sure you can hear all 4 strings. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Nice job. So today we learned how to hold our ukulele, how to strum the right way, how to read a chord chart, and learned our first chord. That's a lot. For now, keep practicing and strumming your C7 chord. I'll be back soon to show you another one.